Darth Vader is introduced in the first Star Wars movie, what they call Episode 4 or whatever, right at the beginning. Like, it's, I think, maybe the opening scene. He busts in and he's like, just with the Force, pushes people away. There's the theme song. Everybody's afraid. And Princess Leia, gets captured or whatever. And then you don't see anything else. And for the rest of the movie, basically, you're just hearing these rumors about who he is and why he is who he is. And they build him up really well. For the first trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, he sure would fall. On most greatest villains of all time, he falls number 1. I looked it up online. I tried to find greatest villains of all time lists. He's at the top of pretty much all of them.
Really?
Yeah. And I rolled my eyes because, if it was still just those 3 movies, 100% could very much.
He's interesting. I don't know.
He's interesting. He could be near the top. Sure, maybe. Yeah, okay. But if it was just those first 3 movies. But then they did the prequels. And you know how I feel about the prequels. Sorry, but they are terrible. And I think that with the prequels first, they completely removed the mystique of Darth Vader. They messed it up because it was completely unbelievable. There were so many mistakes, so many holes and loose ends and things that just didn't make sense. Like, my biggest gripe is he has a bad dream. So he wakes up and he says, "Oh, I got to protect her," his girlfriend. "Oh, I got to protect her. Let me murder a bunch of 6-year-olds. Come on, man. No, when you're a freaking Jedi, no, nobody's going to believe that. And the people who believe it, I'm sorry. You just like it because you like the idea of the prequels, the idea of the origin story of Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. That is and this is the problem with a lot of stories, right? Where sometimes you just want to keep that mystique. And I know the fans sometimes beg and they clamor for it. And, we want to hear the origin story. Let's do a spinoff with the origin of this character. But creators need to tread carefully with that, because sometimes be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And it's like meeting your heroes, right? Never meet your heroes, because you'll be disappointed. And you build them up in your head. And it's the same thing with some of these characters, bad guys or good guys. You build them up in your head and you have this idea of them, and it's completely idealized if you really love this character. But if then they come out with, an origin story and it falls short, then it's such a big disappointment, and everybody pins it on Jar Jar Binks. But no, the entire thing just sucked. Sorry.
Yeah, the whole thing sucked. I think, honestly, with Darth Vader, like you said, they killed the mystique with the origin story. They made him into something that nobody pictured. I know a lot of younger people who are in the 20s and 30s didn't grow up with the original Star Wars. I get that. So they don't understand. But when we watched Star Wars, there was a gap of 20 years before the prequels came out, where all we knew was those 3 films. And everyone who watched those 3 films had an idea in their head of what all this was. From the Jedi Order, they just kind of teased, there's this ancient order of knights who defend the realm or whatever, the galaxy and this and that. It's an ancient order. And in my mind, it's nothing like they showed in the prequels, where they're just sitting at a political table and they're just wearing their robes.
Politics and all that.
The reason, and also the reason they wear the robes in the prequels is because they're copying what Obi-Wan Kenobi was wearing in the first movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi was wearing that because he was living in the desert. He's wearing a cloak that's a desert cloak.
And all of a sudden that becomes you're the one who mentioned this to me when we first watched the prequels in the movie theater. And I liked the first one, The Phantom Menace, when it first came out. But then as they continued coming out, it just got worse and worse. And I'm like, oh my Lord. But you mentioned this to me and it really put into perspective.